Saving money will not make you rich. I want you to hear that again. Saving money will not make you rich. It never has. It never will. And the fact that your parents told you to save, your teachers told you to save, your bank is begging you to save, that should tell you everything you need to know about whose side they're on. And my poor dad, God rest his soul, was one of the most educated men I've ever known. PhD, Superintendent of Education for the entire state of Hawaii. The man had more degrees than a thermometer, and he spent his entire life broke, stressed, one paycheck away from disaster. And you know what he told me every single time money came up? Robert, save your money. Play it safe. Get a good job with benefits. My rich dad had no high school diploma. He dropped out at 13. But by the time he was in his 40s, he owned half of Hawaii. Hotels, warehouses, land businesses. He never worked a day in his adult life. Not in the way my poor dad worked, not trading time for money. The difference between those two men destroyed everything I thought I knew about money. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly what that difference was. Because the lesson my rich dad taught me, the one thing he said that changed my life forever, is the same thing your school, your financial advisor, and your government absolutely do not want you to know. I was 37 years old and I was dead broke. Not a little tight this month broke. I mean, sleeping on my sister's couch broke. I had a business fail. Lost everything. My wife, Kim, and I were living out of our car for a stretch of time that I don't talk about much. But I'm talking about it now because I think you need to hear it. I remember sitting in that car. It was a beat-up brown Toyota parked outside of Denny's in San Diego, and I had exactly $11 in my pocket. And I thought, this is it. This is where I find out what I'm actually made. My poor dad, he called me around that time. He was worried. He said, Robert, just come home. Apply for a teaching position. I can get you in steady income, pension, health insurance. He meant it with love. I know he did, but I kept hearing my rich dad's voice in my head because when I was 9 years old, rich dad took me and his son Mike into his office, tiny little office above one of his stores in Honolulu. And he sat us down and he said, boys, school is going to teach you a lot of things, but there is one thing school will never teach you. And that one thing will determine whether you end up rich or poor for the rest of your life. I leaned forward. I was 9 years old and I was already hooked. He said, the poor and the middle class work for money. The rich make money work for them. I didn't fully understand it at 9. Honestly, I didn't fully understand it at 20. But sitting in that brown Toyota with $11 in my pocket and my whole world collapsed around me, it hit me like a freight train. Every time I had made money in my life up to that point, I had traded my time for hours for dollars. Every single time my business got bigger, I just worked harder, worked longer. I was the product. I was the machine, and machines break down. So right there in that parking lot, I made a decision. I was not going to go work for a paycheck ever again. I was going to figure out what rich dad meant. I was going to learn how to make money without me having to show up. And over the next 4 years, still broke, still struggling, eating a lot of cheap food. I studied, not in school. In the real world, I read every book. I found mentors. I made small bets. I made mistakes. And then one day, the cash flow started coming in, not because I worked harder, because I finally understood the rules of the game that the rich play, rules that nobody ever taught me in school. Here is the lie. Here is the lie that has been sold to you since you were 6 years old, sitting in a classroom with fluorescent lights humming above your head. The lie is this: work hard, get good grades, get a safe job, save money, and everything will be fine. That plan was designed for a different century. It was built for the industrial age when factories needed obedient workers who would show up on time, do what they were told, and not ask too many questions. The school system was literally modeled after the factory. Sit in rows, follow instructions, don't question, and then graduate and go find a factory to work in. But here's the part nobody tells you. That plan, work hard, save money. That plan only makes 3 groups of people wealthy: your employer, who gets your labor; the bank, who gets your savings and lends them out at 10 times what they pay you in interest; and the government, who takes their cut before you ever see a single dollar of what you earned. The middle class is being squeezed from both sides right now. You're being taxed on money you earn, you're being taxed on things you buy, and then you're supposed to save what's left in an account that pays you 2%. While inflation eats 3 to 4% every single year, you are mathematically going backwards. And your financial advisor, the one your company assigned you, the one in the nice suit, he is getting paid whether your money grows or not. Think about that. My poor dad believed the system was fair. He believed if you worked hard and followed the rules, you would be rewarded. And in many ways, he was rewarded. He had a title, he had respect, he had a pension that got cut, he had security that disappeared when he backed the wrong political candidate and lost his job at 60 years old. He had followed every rule, and the rules broke him anyway. The rich don't follow those rules. The rich know something different. I'm going to tell you exactly what it is. Rich Dad's lesson / the big idea. A rich dad used to draw a simple diagram on a piece of paper. 2 columns, left side liabilities, right side assets. And he would say, Robert, the only question that matters in your financial life is this: what column are you putting your money into? Most people think they know what an asset is. They think their house is an asset. They think their car is an asset. My rich dad had a different definition. He said an asset is anything that puts money into your pocket, whether you work or not. A liability is anything that takes money out of your pocket. That is it. That is the whole game. Your house, if you have a mortgage, takes money out of your pocket every month. Property taxes, insurance, repairs, mortgage interest, it is a liability. I know that's uncomfortable to hear. I know you were told it's an investment, but ask yourself, does your house send you a check every month, or do you write checks because of your house? That's the test. The rich build columns of assets, rental properties that cash flow, businesses that run without them, royalties, dividends, interest from lending, paper assets that generate income. They build these asset columns, and those columns pay for their lifestyle. They don't need a job because their assets have become their boss. Their money goes to work, clocks in every morning, and sends them a paycheck while they sleep, while they travel, while they spend time with their families. Now, here's where it gets really powerful. And this is the part your school would never dream of teaching you. The rich don't just use their own money to build assets. They use OPM, other people's money. Banks, investors, partners. When I buy a real estate investment, I put maybe 20% down. The bank puts in the other 80, but I get 100% of the cash flow. I get 100% of the appreciation. I get 100% of the tax benefits. The bank gets their interest payment and nothing else. That is leverage. That is how the game is really played. There's also the cash flow quadrant. Another thing Rich Dad taught me: on the left side of the quadrant are the E and the S, employee and self-employed. The E works for someone else's dream. The S is self-employed, which sounds free, but the S is usually a slave to their own business. If they stop working, the money stops. On the right side of the B and the I, business owner, someone who owns a system that works without them. An investor, someone whose money works for them. The goal, Rich Dad told me, is to get to the right side of that quadrant, not necessarily all at once, but directionally, always moving right. And here's a critical insight that ties it all together. The rich use the tax code legally, powerfully, aggressively. Employees get taxed first and spend what is left. Business owners and investors spend first, reinvest, write off expenses, depreciate assets, and get taxed on what remains. The tax laws were literally written to benefit the people on the right side of the quadrant. The government wants businesses to create jobs. The government wants investors to build housing, so they give those people tax breaks. Your W-2 job gives you almost nothing. The system rewards investors and business owners, not employees. The question is, which side are you building toward? I know what some of you are thinking right now. You're thinking, Robert, that's great for you, but I don't have money to invest. I'm living paycheck to paycheck. How am I supposed to build an asset column when I can barely pay rent? I hear you. And I want to give you exactly what to do. Not theory, not inspiration, but action. Step 1, get financially educated. Not school educated. Financially educated. Before you invest a single dollar, you need to understand how money actually works. Read, study, learn accounting basics, understand how a cash flow statement reads. Know the difference between good debt and bad debt. Good debt makes you richer. A loan on a rental property that earns more than it costs. Bad debt makes you poorer. A credit card balance on a vacation or a car loan on a depreciating vehicle. I spent 2 years just reading and learning before I made my first serious investment. And that education paid more dividends than any single deal I ever made, because when you understand the rules of the game, you stop making fear-based decisions and start making calculated ones. Most people are financially illiterate in a world that runs on money that is like being physically illiterate in a world full of traffic. It's dangerous. The financially educated person is not afraid of the next recession. They're planning for it. They see opportunity where others see crisis. Financial education is the highest return investment you will ever make. Period. Step 2. Build your first cash flowing asset, even a small one. I don't care if it's a rental room in your house on Airbnb, a vending machine, a small parking space you rent out, a digital product that earns royalties, a dividend paying stock, and a tax advantage account. The specific vehicle matters less than the principle. Start building the habit of owning things that generate income without you trading hours for it. Most people wait until they feel ready. They wait until they have more money, more time, more confidence, and while they wait, the years pass. Rich Dad told me, you don't wait to be ready. You get ready by doing. Start small, start ugly, start uncomfortable, but start. The first cash flowing asset you own, no matter how small, will rewire your brain forever. You will understand in your bones what it feels like to have money work for you, and you will never go back. Step 3. Protect and multiply your assets by using leverage. Once you have the education and you have even one asset generating cash, you focus on leverage. Leverage of money using borrowed capital to control larger assets. Leverage of time, hiring people who are better than you at specific tasks so you can focus on acquiring more assets. Leverage of systems, building or buying businesses that run without your daily involvement. The employee trades their time directly for money. 1 hour, $1. The investor uses leverage to break that equation. $10 of borrowed capital controlled by $1 of yours can earn you returns on 10 times the asset. This is not gambling. This is not a scheme. This is mathematics. And the rich have been using it for centuries while schools teach your children about Christopher Columbus. Leverage is the multiplier. Education is the foundation. Cash flow is the goal. I want to challenge something you have believed your whole life. Maybe something your parents drilled into you with love. The idea that a good, stable job is the path to security. Job security is a myth. Let me say that one more time because I know it stings. Job security is a myth. You do not have job security. Your employer has the security of being able to let you go whenever it benefits them. 100 years ago, job security was a reasonable trade. You gave a company 40 years, they gave you a pension, you retired. That deal is dead. Companies have shareholders to answer to, not employees. Loyalty goes one direction now, and it is not towards you. But here's a deeper problem. Even if your job is secure, even if you work there for 30 years and nobody fires you, you are still only one income stream. One. If that stream dries up, layoff, illness, a global pandemic that shuts everything down, you have nothing, zero. The rich never have one stream. They have rivers, multiple assets, multiple income sources, multiple cash flows. No single event can wipe them out because they are not dependent on any single source. My poor dad used to say, work hard for your money. My rich dad used to say, work hard to learn how to have your money. Work hard for you. Those two philosophies lead to completely different lives. One leads to a life of effort, exhaustion, and anxiety. The other leads to freedom. Stop thinking like an employee. An employee thinks, how much will they pay me? An investor thinks, what will this asset return? An employee asks, is my job safe? An investor asks, is my portfolio diversified? An employee saves for retirement in 40 years. An investor builds income that starts now. The single biggest financial mistake most people make is spending their best years, their 20s, their 30s, their 40s, the years when they have energy, creativity, and time trading those years for a salary instead of using them to build assets. You can always make more money. You cannot make more time. And right now, today, you still have time. That window does not stay open forever. I want to talk to you honestly about where we are right now, because the stakes have never been higher. Inflation is real. You can feel it every time you buy groceries, every time you fill up your tank, every time your rent goes up. The purchasing power of your savings account is being eaten alive every single year. Saving money in a low-interest account during a high inflation period is not safety. It is slow financial death. The middle class is shrinking. This is not a political opinion. This is data. The gap between those who own assets and those who rent their labor is widening at a pace we have not seen in 100 years. And the asset owners, the people on the right side of the cash flow quadrant, are pulling further ahead every single year. AI is eliminating jobs, not in the future. Right now, white-collar jobs, accounting, legal work, copywriting, customer service, medical imaging, the jobs that the middle class spent decades in school preparing for, being automated at a pace nobody predicted. If your income depends entirely on a skill that can be replicated by software, you are standing on ice, and it is cracking beneath your feet. I'm not saying this to frighten you. I'm saying this because I care about your freedom more than I care about making you comfortable. The people who built wealth in the last major economic shift, the ones who came out ahead, were the people who saw what was coming and repositioned before the crowd realized what was happening. The window to build financial independence is not closing tomorrow, but it is not staying open forever either. The cost of real estate rises. The cost of entry into solid investments rises. And most importantly, your time, your energy, your capacity to learn and build and take calculated risks, that has a shelf life too. The best time to start was 10 years ago. The second best time is today. Here's what I want you to take from today. The rich don't work for money. They make money work for them. The way they do that is by building asset columns, income-generating properties, businesses, investments, royalties, things that pay them whether they show up or not, and they fund those assets using financial education, leverage, and the tax advantages that the system has always offered to those who understood the rules. My poor dad gave me love and a work ethic. I will always be grateful for that. My rich dad gave me the map, and I spent my life following it. Here's the one thing I want you to do today. Not this week. Today, pick up one book about financial education. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, if you haven't read it, or anything by Warren Buffett, Benjamin Graham, or any serious investor. Spend 1 hour this week reading about how money actually works. That is it. 1 hour. Because that 1 hour will compound over the next 10 years into a life that looks completely different from the one you're living right now. As my rich dad always said, the richest people in the world build networks and invest. The rest look for work. Which side are you choosing? If this changed the way you think about money, even just a little bit, watch the next video, because I go even deeper into how to use other people's money to build your first real asset from zero. It is right there. I'll see you in it.